Alright, hey all, how we going? How we doing? I can't actually see the chat on my on my OBS window because it's frozen. I don't know why the fuck that happened, but it's absolutely just frozen. It's like not moving, it's not updating, I can't even click on the thing. But yeah, how we all doing? Hopefully we're good. I can see some chat in like my stream window, but that's about it. It's pretty small, so yeah, I apologize if I miss anything, but we're mostly going to be talking with Blake the whole time anyway, so we're not going to be, like, I'm sure Blake will be looking at chat, but I'm going to be answering questions, so I might not be looking at chat too much. But yeah, I'm sure that Blake can probably relay anything that's going on, and I will catch what I catch, so yeah, maybe my chat window will fix itself in the meantime, but I highly fucking doubt it because Streamlabs is a piece of shit. But yeah, thanks for all the happy birthdays as well. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna unmute Blake now, and you're gonna be able to. I don't know if you can actually hear the music that's going on. I know Blake can't, but I think everyone else will be able to, and then you'll also be able to hear Blake. It's a nightmare getting OBS to work with Discord. If anyone has had experience with that, you'll know what I mean. But all right, yeah, let's bring in Blake, and I'll let you hear this music. I don't think Blake, you won't be able to hear it, but I think they'll be able to hear it, and I'll tell you what it is once I unmute. So, but actually, before I do that, can everyone just let me know what the mic levels are like? Are they too loud, too low? Just so I know how to balance Blake's when he comes in. Okay, perfect. All right, good. All right. So that's the music. That might be a little loud. I don't know if it is, but I don't even know if that's been playing the whole time. No, you can't hear it because it's not part of the Discord call. But it's a kazoo rendition of the Canadian national anthem. All right. How are y'all doing? How are we doing? Do I have chat on this window? Hopefully I do. I'm gonna. Ugh. Hopefully, I think chat should be. Why is chat not popping up? Chat box. I have it turned off. Why is it turned off? What the fuck? All right, now chat should be start appearing. Hopefully it hasn't broken it. That does happen sometimes. And Blake, your audio's all good? Want to say hello to the people?
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, I can't see anyone fucking. I can't see any chat, so I don't know what's going on. But
really? I have the chat up.
The chat will still be like working, but it's I'll just fix this as well.
Yeah.
Fix this window. There we go. It's a bit better. So we're gonna talk a bit about a few things. I'll probably like let Blake give you the topic rundown in a minute. I just want to make sure. Oh wait. I don't know why. There we go. There we go. We got chat back.
Got chat back?
My webcam is like 16K quality. This thing's not even 1080p, dude. This thing
Someone
is not...
says my webcam is slightly cut off.
Yeah, I just fixed that, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I just had the...
Oh yeah, there we go.
The,
I see it.
What's it called? The stream window over to the left a little too much. But no, that's all good now. Yeah, dude, now this webcam sucks. It took me 30 minutes. 30 minutes just to get it to work. And I was like panicking. Like it just wouldn't connect.
That's not any better, man.
And then when I do get it connected, it's like all blown out. Actually, let me just fix something quickly. Sorry for the just all the fucking around. Like I tried to get all this set up. Okay, apparently it won't even let me configure the webcam. So whatever. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But now it's blurry. Okay, come back. All right. So Blake, it is lovely to talk to you for the first time. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, man.
Doing
Thanks
good?
for having me on here.
Well, yeah, you're kind
Yeah,
of
doing
like
well.
having
Happy birthday.
you're kind of like having me on, but in the reverse, because like you're meant to be doing the interview, but we need to get you set up with
Yeah,
everything
for sure.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, how are you
Um,
doing, man?
yeah. Other than the stress of figuring out why everything was going wrong at the last minute. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Like we talked about, like birthdays aren't really my thing, but you know, yeah, I think getting older is never fun, and realizing it is never fun. But
Yeah,
at least it's
absolutely.
it's good to have a bit of a chat to distract myself from the impending um, my own mortality. So yeah, um, yeah. So what are we going to talk about today? What topics have that I brought to you do you want to discuss?
Yeah, man. I figured we could just kind of run through what plans you got for both bands for the rest of the year, what you got planned for next year,
Yep.
and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, sweet.
You know?
And just let me know if Blake's audio is all right as well, because that'll, I just want to make sure everything's balanced out, because I'm recording this as well for people that might not be here, and also people that might want to watch it again. Of course, there will be a VOD on Twitch for this, so even if the recording somehow fails, it'll still, there's still going to be something that exists. Um, I'm going to keep trying to sit up in my chair because I've got terrible fucking posture. I'm going to just try to fix that quickly. Um, so yeah, there will be a VOD. If this recording works and all the audio is fine and everything, I'll send that to Blake, and that'll be in a higher quality, and he can do with that what he wants. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Hopefully you get updates on things that you've been wanting updates on, and I can shed a bit of light on things. This is my first stream in like 3 years, and Blake's first stream ever. So um, yeah, we're gonna get into it. I've got some questions for Blake after we go over what he has. They're not like serious questions, but I need answers. I need answers regardless. Um, yeah, I'm sure that Blake will also take whatever questions that he got from Twitter, or as many as he could. Sorry if we don't get to them all. It's just kind of not you know it's kind of impossible to get every single one. Even though I'm not like, this isn't like a super huge thing, but if, in case we missed any, just know that it wasn't on purpose. So yeah, all right, I'll let Blake take it from here. I'll let you start asking me shit and talking before I ramble on for fucking 3 hours.
Yeah, man. I think we should start with what's coming next. So you guys dropped DeLorean,
Yeah.
um, and from my understanding, we're getting another standalone
Yes.
single.
Yeah. Oh, and also, if my mic cuts out at any point because I touch the fucking microphone, just let me know, because that is a very real thing that happens. But yeah, so there's DeLorean. Look, I'll start off by saying that these two singles were kind of like, I think I told you this as well. They were like meant to be like B-sides. Like
Right.
they were meant to be, well, these Galleons songs, and as well as the EP we've been working on, were all meant to be B-sides. So and
Yeah.
then when you put out a single like DeLorean, and we were on like, I think we had slid back down to like 80,000 monthly listeners or something or whatever, and then that came out, and like now we're at like 142,000 for some reason. Like, I mean, it's super fucking insane for one that just the success of a song that we never intended to be like a major release.
It's
Um,
on Octane too,
yeah, I think it's
right?
still on Octane, which is
Yeah.
insane. Because it went to like their test thing where they like spin new artists, and
Right.
then they put it up to the next one, and then it's yeah, I don't know how long it's meant to be on Octane or how long it has been. I mean, it's been on there for a month maybe, or a month and a half now.
Yeah.
Um, but that has been huge. Like that, I never realized like how much help Octane gives artists until we were actually on it, and it's kind of like,
Right.
yeah, it's kind of insane how the difference it makes, like once you're on it compared to like if you've never been on it, you wouldn't know. But yeah, we don't know yet if we're gonna try and do that with the next single, because
Right.
it's kind of like it's kind of based on, it's a lot of luck, but it's also a lot of hard work, and
Yeah.
and promotion costs and stuff like that. So we don't know if we're going to be able to do it for that one, which is okay. But yeah, there is another single that we is finished and we've submitted to distribution into the label. But yeah, these two were never meant to be like anything big. Like they were never meant to be
Right.
singles like on this scale. Like the original intention
Yeah.
was to release them 1 month after the other and then start releasing the EP. But we haven't
Right.
even at this point, because we've had to stretch out, because it's been so successful, and we've had to stretch out the release of each of these singles. Now obviously the EP gets pushed, and that was completely like unforeseen. You kind of just
Right.
roll with things as they happen, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like completely thrown, not a wrench, but it's like all the plans we made just completely changed.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and it's just
And like,
you can't do anything about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you, in terms of like release window?
Yeah,
When do you think the singles
it's meant to
gonna
be
ready
October.
go?
It's meant to be October.
Meant to be October.
Yeah, it's at this stage probably, because we're still figuring out like the promotion side of it, and like if like how heavy do we want to go on it? Like, do we want to do the same sort of rollout as DeLorean and try and go for Octane? Like,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of bands like get shit for going like, oh, Octane bands. But like for us,
Octane
it was yeah, Octane Core, but like it was never intentional for us. Like it was completely
Yeah.
like not accidental, but like, but we kind of, I think we've been on there once before with a song from Self-Titled.
Right.
But it wasn't like that was completely like accidental, and they just like came across it and chucked it on for like a week or something. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, we never had the intention of either of these songs going to like mainstream radio, right? So it's
Right.
nice that it happened, but like we don't
Yeah.
ever write songs with that in mind, or submit them to to the label with
Right.
that in mind. So it's nice when it happens, but it's like yeah, because you're always so close to your own songs that you can't really like say for sure if it's like actually a hit, or if it's just
Yeah, of
something that
course.
you're too attached to kind of see the forest for the trees, and that it might not be, I don't know, as good or even as bad as you might think it is, but it's,
Right.
you just get too close to things sometimes, and so yeah, it's in a roundabout way. Yeah, there's another song coming, and I don't know. It's just at this point we're just taking things as they come, because that's all
Yeah.
we can do. Like
Yeah.
every time I've tried to make plans, they always just fall apart or get pushed, or things get. Same thing happened with Self-Titled. Same thing happened
Right.
with Violent Delights. It's just
Yeah.
no matter how quickly I want to release music, it just never goes that way, because I even though I want as much music out there as possible from us, I always have like my friend and label manager and owner who kind of like has to reel expectations back in about like actual
Yeah.
promotion and marketing, and how long that takes, and how long
Yeah.
we should do it for to actually get impact, and
Yeah.
like a good run out of a song or an album. So
Yeah.
I say things and I'm like, yeah, we'll have an EP out this year as well as an album, and then my
Yeah.
label manager, she'll just go, yeah, that's not gonna happen, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
well,
Because wasn't Violent Delight supposed to drop in 2023, or
yeah,
isn't that what you
yeah.
wanted originally?
Yeah, originally, and
Yeah.
that's what I said to her. I'm like, look, what can we do to get this out in 2023? And she's like, not much, because we have like, of course, we have to kind of just go with the flow of whatever, because there's multiple artists on the label, of course, so we have to
Yeah.
kind of find a spot for us in between other artists, and where we have budget for that stuff, to be able to effectively do a release rollout, because if we
Right.
just say fuck it, let's just release it whenever and do, you know, like, we don't care about the marketing budget, or we don't care about the distribution time, or the, you know, like all that stuff, that could fuck us in the long run, like really badly.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
need to kind of just, even though even though I'm super keen on just releasing as much as possible, as quickly as possible, you know, there's only so you can only produce a song so quickly, like mixing and mastering it, and then you kind of
Yeah.
have to listen to the people that know better than you in terms of like the how to market it and how long that's going
Right.
to take. So while you know, this next single, I wanted it to be out like this month or like something, but like I said,
Yeah.
DeLorean just like pushed that out like by like two
Yeah.
or 3 months. So that's great for DeLorean, and hopefully it's
Yeah.
good for the next single as well, because you know, I put a lot of trust in Chelsea, who's our label manager. Like there's a lot of trust that goes both ways. She trusts us to make good music, obviously, and we trust her to
Yeah.
kind of tell us the truth and tell us, you know, what song, not what song should go out, but like what song should go when, and when this release should
Right.
happen, and how we should market it, what work we need to
Right.
do on our end. Like that's all really, really important. And
Yeah.
although I don't like to hear it sometimes, because you know, it's kind of like a bit of pushback that means that our song isn't going to be out when we want it to be out,
Yeah.
which sucks, and it sucks
Yeah.
for, you know, everyone, because we want you guys to hear it as quickly as possible. And also so we don't get sick of it in the meantime. So like, because we're hearing it
Yeah.
like 100 times a week from just like
Yeah.
making promotional material and doing whatever else. So like,
Yeah.
the push for us to get it out quickly is and I'm trying to stay conscious as well of trying not to fucking answer too long for every fucking question, so we're not here for like 6 hours. But this one's like really, really important, because I think a lot of people don't. For this goes for like a lot of bands, pretty much all bands that like with a label. Yeah, it's whether a band like ends up on Octane or like has like a long marketing schedule for something or whatever. That's usually for good reason, and it's usually so they can, you know, even though people might not like it from time to time, um, a lot of the time it is not out of the band's hands, but it's a like a joint decision that is kind of the best thing for the band at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am sorry that stuff is taking so long, especially with Valiant Hearts, but it's like, do it right or don't do it at all, basically, because
Yeah.
there's just so many things that can go wrong, and you don't want to like kind of shoot yourself in the foot. Like you make this whole great like set of singles or an album or whatever, and then you just like gung ho it and just release it as,
Yeah.
you know, just don't give a fuck about what you do for the release. You just want it out there. That can
Yeah.
mess up like everything, and I've experienced that
Yeah.
from time to time. So look, I'll let you get back to the questions, because I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah,
make
no.
it a 6-hour stream.
Yeah, no worries, man. So, what can you tell us sonically about the two
Oh,
next single?
it's similar to
Is
DeLorean.
it a similar
Yeah.
pop punk vibe thing?
Maybe not pop punk, but it's got that same sort of like upbeat like vibe. It's got that same sort of like, I don't know, vibrant. It's not as emo as like some of the tracks from like say the second half of Violent Delights, or like
Yeah.
self-titled. It's definitely more in the same vibe as DeLorean, even if it's not pop punk. It's more of like a post-hardcore
Right.
song.
Right. Yeah.
I guess like a little more electronic, maybe. Not really. Like it's got. When I say electronic, like I think a lot of people always think like, oh, it's like synth core or like EDM core or like
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that, which is like something that we do like, but it's not. Yeah, it's not exactly what I mean when I say electronic.
Yeah.
I mean just that it has like synths in it, like, but it's mostly like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, even the beginning of the DeLorean has the synths
Yeah,
going
it's
on,
similar
like,
to that sort of
most
like,
of the two.
yeah, it's similar to that like level of electronic like influence. I don't know, there's some Porter Robinson influence in there, with some vocal stuff, like vocal effects. I would say that it's probably how do I put it? It's, I don't know, I guess not heavier than DeLorean. I don't think any of our music is really heavy. Like, we have screaming in our songs, but I
Yeah.
don't consider our music heavy, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Because I write like the screams for Sergio the same way that I would write singing for me, but it's just
Right.
screamed. So that's like the kind of
Yeah.
process for it. But I always hate explaining songs or like sounds for songs because I'm not the one that like writes them, right? So
Yeah.
I don't write the instrumentals, so I'm always terrible at explaining like, oh, what sort of like
Yeah.
tuning it uses or what sort of,
Yeah.
I can
Fair
only
enough.
explain the really ambiguous stuff like vibes or
Yeah.
or like the tone of the song. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say it's really, other than like, it's not pop punk, but it's really similar in vibe and kind of like energy, and I don't know, just yeah, similar to DeLorean in that way, but not pop punk. So yeah,
Yeah, because DeLorean was kind of like a nice change of pace, to be honest. Because
yeah, yeah.
like even that chorus is
Mm.
just like swinging, like it's super
Yeah,
happy
that
kind
I
of sounding.
was super happy with that as soon as I hit it, and that doesn't happen a lot. Like
Mm.
that sort of moment that you have when you're writing a song and everything just clicks. Um,
Yeah.
it's a rare thing. I feel like,
Mm.
unless you're like a fucking prodigy that can just like, I don't know, just like hit a home run every time, which just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like even
Yeah.
with, I don't know, even with like Billboard artists, like I feel like it doesn't happen. Um,
Yeah.
like you can be an extremely solid songwriter and write, something that mechanically is catchy every time.
Right.
And I'm not saying this is like me or anything. I'm just making a blanket statement. Um, but yeah, like even for like leading artists that are really really talented songwriters, of course not every song can be a hit. Every song can be
Yeah.
catchy, but not every song can be a hit. And I think with DeLorean, like that's the closest we've come to actually writing. Um, but it's also because of how we promoted it as well. So I can't put it all just on the song. It's also a lot of it
Yeah.
is once again on our management and on our marketing that was done for it, and Octane because that just like took it to a whole fucking new level for us.
Yeah.
Um, and once we come off Octane, that might just like go back down to like, I don't know, like 80,000 again, which is fine. Like we don't, numbers aren't what are important for us. They are important to a
Yeah.
degree because that's how you
Of
measure
course.
your success as a
Right.
band and how you know that people are listening to what you're making. Um, but yeah, dude, it's like that I've never had that feeling yet with a release. And to think that it was like almost something that was scrapped or like completely just thrown out
Yeah. Yeah.
um, is kind of crazy. Like I think we've
Yeah.
learned our lesson now that we got to try and use every little bit that we write because we never know what that could, like what the next thing could be that's like DeLorean, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so I think going forward, it's important to us that we write consciously and with intent because even with Violent Delights and Metropolis and Self-Titled actually I won't include that because that was written very deliberately. But Violent Delights,
Mm.
Metropolis, and like everything in between that and Self-Titled, or now and Self-Titled really, the guys would just like write a whole fucking bunch of music and we just choose
Yeah.
like the best things, right? So
Right.
um, but in that shuffle, a lot of stuff gets scrapped or thrown out or just not
Mm.
used, and it's never
Right.
we. I mean, it could be one of our best songs, and we'll never know, right? But
Yeah.
just because we didn't demo it properly or fully,
Yeah.
we've now lost that thing to time, or it's just not interesting to us anymore, and
Yeah.
that's just how it goes. But now I feel like we're writing a lot more deliberately. We're writing when we have ideas for
Right.
certain singles or certain concepts or an album or whatever. I'll let you get your throat clear.
Sorry, man. I'm
No, you're all
recovering from
good.
a.
Do you have like a bottle of water or something? Because we're gonna be talking for a little bit.
Yeah.
You might have to. Yeah, I'd recommend grabbing a bottle of water, man. I know how it feels. Because I always have like a fucking like 2 liter bottle of water and a coffee.
It was fine, and then we started talking. I was like,
no,
man,
dude, trust me. It's a good lesson to learn quickly. Especially like being a vocalist, I can tell you that hydrating is super important when you're talking, because
yeah,
even though I'm the one doing most of the talking, like
yeah,
it's gonna hit you. Yeah. But yeah, I think.
But I feel like you never know too, especially like working on a record.
Yeah.
When you're listening to the tracks back so many times.
Yeah.
Right, and
yeah.
just writing so much.
Yeah.
Like you can get kind of like burnt out, and like you don't know. I guess like your judgment can get clouded.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just that your judgment gets clouded, but you get like really bad ear fatigue with the songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why when we were in the process of releasing Violent Delights, we would take like, 5 to 10 day breaks of not listening to anything from the album, and then we would come back to it and we'd be like, okay, yeah, we're not crazy. Like this is, we're happy with these songs. Like I don't know, we try to stay away from saying like, oh, these are good songs, or these are great songs, or these are awesome songs, or we just say, yeah, we're happy with these songs. We're proud of these songs, right? Because that's easier than getting our hopes up and saying like, oh, this is going to be like an awesome, like amazing single that's going to do so well for us. Yeah. And then you kind of get disappointed by how it does. It's way easier to just be like, yeah, I'm proud of this. I'm proud to put it out. And don't take that thought any further, because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. So, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with you said with the success of DeLorean, the single got pushed back, and so do you think, in terms of the EP, it's gonna be moved to next year?
Yeah, it's definitely next year. Yeah, there's no fucking way that it's happening this year, because I think it's ended up, dude, it's barely even an EP at this point. It's honestly, it's 8 tracks, so it's gonna be like a mini album.
I mean, it's runtime's like,
it's like 30 minutes. Yeah, so it's basically an album, I guess.
It's most albums runtimes now, so
yeah. So the idea behind it is just that it's a bunch of B-sides. Like I said, like stuff that we just got thrown away in the shuffle of doing all these albums and all this music. Stuff that we always liked, but we never really had an intention of releasing it, or we never found the right time or the right spot to put it out. Like it never really fit into an album. It never really fit as a standalone single, because we didn't feel like it was it didn't necessarily feel like a filler song, but it didn't necessarily feel like a standalone single either. But like revisiting that mindset after DeLorean, and seeing DeLorean pop off and having that same feeling towards that song, where I was like, oh, I don't know if that's like a really like a good single song. Right. Like maybe that's also incorrect for the songs from the EP as well, that we thought the same thing about. So that's kind of the idea behind it, is to kind of give those songs a chance, that we like a collection of songs that we always liked, and we always, that are basically finished, but just had no place for them. So yeah, I would have loved to release it this year, but it like I said, with everything getting pushed, and also like just the thinking of the right way to do it, or not doing it at all, it's better to just push it to next year, and just give DeLorean and this next single time to breathe, and just enjoy the end of the year, and kind of just ride it out on what we've done, and try not to like cannibalize ourselves. Because that can be a real thing as well, like cannibalizing your own releases.
Of course.
If you release too close. I feel like Hands Like Houses has been doing that lately, and it just feels really weird. They were releasing like a song every like 6 weeks or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah, and then after like the second EP, they didn't drop anything for a long time. It was like over a month or something.
Yeah.
And then they started in the third EP. So
and I don't really like that. Like if I think if, I'm not trying to shit on anyone, but if it was better music, I think I would like it. But because it's not, because I don't like it, unfortunately, it was just kind of really disappointing to see that they were putting out like quantity over quality.
Yeah.
And it kind of just fell flat for me, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, because like even when, because like the whole EP rollout thing that kind of got normalized within the pandemic, like you would split it up throughout the year.
Yeah.
Like you would basically make the rollout from January to December, with the album being completed in December.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were just kind of pumping these out over the course of a few months.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's something that is obviously, from a marketing standpoint, you know, like works to a degree. But I think from a listener standpoint, it really hinges on how fucking good those songs are to be putting out music so constantly that you're making people forget so quickly about the songs that came out before, and you're essentially you know, not just overriding, you know, I'm trying to find the right words for this, without being too critical, because I don't like just stirring shit for no reason.
Of course.
You know, like it's like I said, cannibalization of your own songs, and if you're just putting out song after song after song from, say, an EP or an album, and you're doing it within such a small window, you're not just you're not giving people enough time to absorb what you're putting out, and to actually like, you know, not every song is an immediate hit. Some songs are growers. Some songs, you know,
that's true.
Not every song is gonna be, you know, you can't just release a song every 3 weeks or 4 weeks and expect it to be an absolute hit that people will absorb immediately. And then, you know, you release another song in 4 weeks and people just forget about the song that you released, you know, not even a month ago. And with me, that whole EP cycle for them was like that, because I just listened and I was like, okay, not really interested. I'll give the next one a shot, and then I'm like, oh, not really interested, and then I just stopped listening to it altogether. Which sucks, because I really, you know, like I have high expectations for those guys, even as instrumentalists. And
for sure. And I feel like like, I don't know, speaking from my experience, like you know, I went in trying to keep an open mind. You know,
always.
Because like I love that band. You know, so it's, you know, it's always disappointing when you go in there. It's just like not doing anything for me, unfortunately. But you know,
and
what it is.
It's mainly for me just the fact that, you know, and I don't want to say like, oh, they have to do the music that they did before because that's what I like, but it's more just about knowing how much talent these guys have, and seeing how little of it, or how little of it they seem to care to use, right? It's more about that. It's not like I want them to write the same thing over and over again, but it's like, I know you can write more interesting music than what you have been.
Absolutely.
That's all it is. It's not anything like malicious, or, you know, there's nothing that's like...
no, you just know they're capable. What they're capable of.
And I hold that same standard for myself, or I try to, where I'm like, I know what I'm capable of, and if there ever comes a point where people are saying like, oh, he's not trying anymore, you know, about me, you know, I hope that I take that as a wake-up call to be like, well, fuck, what is wrong with what I'm doing now, and how can I fix it, essentially? Like, how can I put in more effort, or how can I put in the effort that I used to put in? And it's kind of that simple for me. You know, I respect that a lot more than just doing what is easy, and what, you know, I don't know, what is the easiest way to get music out, which is what they seem to be doing, which is unfortunate. But sorry, that's a big tangent, but that's all right. Yeah, dude, I think the EP, just to bring it back around, or the album, whatever it ends up being classified as, I don't really care whether it's an EP or an album.
It's gonna be one of those things where it's like, depends who you ask.
Yeah. Like, for me, Bring Me the Horizon Post-Human Survival Horror is an album. It's 9 songs, it's over 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
But they called it an
enough.
EP at the time, right?
Yeah.
And then everyone called it an
Yeah.
EP, and I'm like, I don't know, it's over 30 minutes, it's 9 songs, just call it an album. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing
and the
wrong with it
second
being an album.
The second one is for sure an album
Yeah,
too. So
yeah.
like,
Yeah. At this, like, I know what plans they had. They wanted to do 4 EPs in the span of a year. That didn't happen. Fuck, what I was gonna say, my whole experience as a musician has been a fucking COVID experience. Like,
really?
well, yeah, because I've never met the members in any of my bands. I've always worked from home.
Wait, you've never met any of them
No.
in person?
No,
Really?
no, we've never met.
That's crazy.
We've known each other for almost 10 years at this point, and we've never met each other. And
That's insane.
We've made music that whole time, never having met, having overcome fucking 2 language barriers. I mean, them more than me. I've been very shit at learning Russian, right? But their English has improved, like, I don't know. Their English is basically, in terms of, like, typing or writing, their English is as good as mine, basically. Like, they know, like, fucking Zoomer slang. Like, Gen Z slang. Like, they're that good at English now. So it's so easy to communicate with them on, like, a music level, on a, you know, like, an expression level of, like, what I feel like a song should sound like, or... Because I don't usually have that many issues with anything that they write. I don't usually have any input on an instrumental level. Very rarely. But, like,
They're very talented guys. So
yeah, dude, they're just, and it's funny because Max, of course, when we started, he only really did guitar, and I think he did bass as well. And now he's like, and maybe piano. I don't actually know what he did when we started, but he's always been like a multi-instrumentalist, right? So Tucker's like sitting up on the bed.
I know.
He's a big dude.
I know, big boy.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, Max like plays the drums now. Like he played the drums for all the songs on Violent Delights, but look, it was on like an E kit, so it was on an electronic kit. So and then we just transferred that to samples.
You guys had someone else actually record the drums, right?
Well, what happened was, for all the like regular drum beats that just like aren't fills, aren't rolls, aren't
like the basic stuff.
The really basic stuff, that's just all samples that were played on an electronic kit by Max. So yes, technically all the drums are played, but they're played and then transferred to, you know, samples into an electronic you know, drum machine. But we did get all the rolls, like the drum rolls on the album recorded, and that kind of just helps like add a bit more of that humanization back into the parts that are more complex.
Right.
So we felt that was like a really nice, happy medium that didn't like break the bank or go over budget. Because recording drums is really fucking expensive. Like you gotta the mic setup, the studio time, the session drummer. It costs a lot of money, and it is absolutely worth it. Like drummers are the most crucial part of any band, I think, because they create a lot of the time they create, well, not create, but they drive the rhythm, they drive the groove, the energy of the song. That mostly comes from them, and that is very hard to replicate with a drum machine, right? But if you have a very good fucking writer, and you have someone like Max who can play the song on an electronic kit that then gets transferred to, you know, a drum machine that then still has like humanization in it from the actual person playing it. That's at least better than nothing. You know, it keeps us, it keeps us from going broke. It still gets the song sounding good enough. And then we do like the little parts, like the rolls, and some of the fills maybe, that were actually recorded on, you know, like by an actual person and using the actual, the actual drum sounds. So, yeah, I think, especially for bands like us that don't have like a huge label behind them or a huge budget to work with, that get like $20,000 to $30,000 advances to produce their albums. Like I've personally paid for every single album, whether it's Valiant Hearts or Galleons, that we've ever made out of my own pocket. No loan, no nothing. I worked for almost 5 years in like a full-time job, and I saved all the money
Right.
that I earned, and I
Right.
spent all of that basically on music to get to where we are now. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, the the budget that we usually have to work with usually only allows us to do, you know, sample drums and just to use what we have at
Right.
our immediate, you know, access. You know, what we
Yeah.
have at home, what we can maybe buy for a low price that makes the album sound better.
Right.
That's you know, we just do what we can do, and
Yeah.
hopefully, you know, hire a really good engineer so that it, you know, even if some stuff that we have, you know, stem wise and recording wise isn't the
Mm.
highest quality, a lot of the time when that goes to engineering, they can polish that up so you wouldn't even notice. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
your mixes and production on the past 2 records have been crisp.
yeah. Roman is
I
fucking like what more can I say about Roman? Like he has taken like every home recording that we've had and he's made it sound like, you know, yeah, he's made it sound like $1,000,000. So
yeah.
like
Yeah,
I
that's
record
crazy.
every single song using just this microphone. Like this is what I use
Yeah.
to record every song that we've done, since like self-titled.
Right.
But you know, like this room isn't really like treated for acoustic sounds.
It's not soundproofed or anything.
It's not soundproofed really, at all. It's just got like a bunch of
It's
clothes in it. And before this room, I just had like my bed was in the other house. I had a bunch of stuff just taking up space that
yeah.
essentially absorbed the sound. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the goal of having like a bedroom recording like thing set up,
Yeah.
is just trying to fill the room with as much like padding and clothing or
Yeah.
blankets or whatever, so that way it just absorbs all of the reverb and the echo, so you can just get as much
Yeah.
just crispness on the microphone as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you get back to the questions because
Yeah, no worries.
it's almost been
No
an
worries,
hour
man.
already. That's like flown by.
I actually have a new question that kind of popped up as we were
Okay, no
chatting.
worries.
How did you meet the guys?
So
Like how did Galleons come to be if you guys have never met?
just by YouTube used to have a messaging system,
Right.
and like I still do, and I did covers on YouTube
Yeah.
since like 2015. And
Yeah.
I think Max found like a really shitty cover of mine that I did of was it like Purple Rain by Dance Gavin Dance. I
Right.
think that was the song. And he hit me up and he had 3 songs that instrumentals that he'd written just through the YouTube messaging system. And he was like, "Do you want to sing on these songs?" and record a demo. And that ended up being the first EP we ever did. So that was those 3
Oh,
songs.
right.
Was that
Yeah.
EP that I don't want to upload to streaming because the song quality is so shit.
Fair enough.
Because that was all done like on literally like a $0 budget. Really, I think the guys might have paid
Yeah.
for one of the songs to be mixed, but my microphone at the
Right.
time was like so garbage that it was like clipping, like
Oh,
completely.
yeah.
Like every vocal stem was like clipping to the maximum. So
Oh,
producing
okay.
the actual songs was a nightmare vocally,
Yeah.
because all the vocals on all the songs were just completely like unusable. And so
Yeah.
I think the guys paid for an engineer for the first song on the album, and he was like, "Yeah, the vocals are really shit, recorded like really shit. So I can only do so much." And then I
Yeah.
think he did what he could with the last 2 songs, and then I don't know, we fucked around with them some more, and yeah, it's just they're a nice reminder and a nice like memory of where we started from, but like there's no way that
Yeah.
I want as few people as possible to hear those songs just because of how shit the recordings are, which is just on a vocal level. I mean, like not on an
Yeah.
instrumental level. I think fucking Max did. I love those songs instrumentally,
Yeah.
but like they're completely embarrassing for me on a vocal level, just because at the time I was using like a USB microphone. It might as well have been like a fucking like Xbox or PlayStation like headset, right?
Oh, God.
It might have been. It's like that bad. It's that bad. And because I just had no idea at the time, they were the first songs that I ever did. So yeah, that's pretty much how we met. And then from there, it was just talking and talking and talking, and the guys learning English, and then just slowly writing more music. And then Igor, who's in Valiant Hearts.
Yeah.
And I'll just clear this up for anyone that doesn't know, but the guys in the guys in Galleons, none of them are in Valiant Hearts. I get that question a lot of the time. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know the guys."
Valiant Hearts just you and Igor?
Yeah, Valiant Hearts is just me and Igor, and the guys in Galleons have nothing to do with that. Eugene, who's in Galleons, he's actually written. I think he helped write one song on the first album back in 2018, which was the opening song, which is Wanderlust.
Right.
And then he wrote the drums for the second last song on the album. But I think that might be where people are getting confused, because like he helped write a little bit in those early days. And maybe people see the credits for those songs and see his name in there, and see his name in Galleons as well, and they think he's a part of Valiant Hearts. But no, he was just really helping me finish those songs in the really early days of the band. So yeah, I just wanted to clear that up, because I it must be like at least like once a week or once every 2 weeks that I get a message being like, or not a message, but like a comment that I see that's someone going, "Oh, are these the same guys from Galleons?" Or
I mean,
like, technically, yes, me, but yeah.
I can see the confusion though, because like instrumentally, there is a lot of similarities between the two.
But also, I get it, because both, like, they're all Russian band members. They're all like friends of mine from Russia. It's easy to assume that one band works with the other. Or vice versa. So I get it, but it's like, there is no crossover. Really, like there was at one point, but there isn't anymore. Except for if I need help in the future and they write something and that one of their names appears in the credits, that's fine. But it doesn't mean that they're
like a one-off thing.
It doesn't mean that they're like part of the band. So. Valiant Hearts is just me and Igor, and I met Igor through Galleons originally.
Right.
Because they were like, "Oh, I have a friend who wants to talk to you about doing some like Hands Like Houses-y music." And then that was what turned into the first Valiant Hearts EP. So yeah, it kind of just all snowballed from YouTube. That was it.
Right.
Yeah, and then we've known each other for like 10 years, and we've never met, and we've written like 7 albums across 2 bands, or 8 albums. So yeah,
that's insane.
It's been a wild ride from sitting in a bedroom for 10 years just writing music. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
and actually, on the topic of Valiant Hearts, what do you want to updates you want to give to those waiting?
I'm gonna try and not spoil too much. But I told you that I don't really care about how much I spoil. I just don't really want to give anyone, I guess, like false hope of like a release date or anything, because even I don't know that yet.
Of course.
But one exciting thing I can say, or not, maybe exciting for some people, I don't know. A lot of people might not give a shit. Is that it's pretty much done in terms of writing. Because I know some people here like Galleons, some people don't like Valiant Hearts, and vice versa. So some people like both. It's cool. You don't have to like both bands if you don't like. Because I see people being like, "Oh, I love Valiant Hearts, but Galleons isn't really my thing." Right. I get it. They're 2 different bands. Sometimes there's some crossover in sounds. Like Valiant Hearts might have some slightly mathcore-y songs that have Galleons-y elements in them from time to time. But largely we try to make them sound like 2 different bands, but there's only so much like I'm in both of them, so there's only so much I can do to change how I sound from band to band.
I
But
think there's a clear distinction, though.
yeah, I try to write in a different way with Valiant Hearts than I do with Galleons. Galleons is more about like focus on melody and less about lyrics, and
Yeah,
then Valiant Hearts is more about like lyrics first and
yeah,
then melody, not second, but like it's the lyrics are more important in Valiant Hearts to me than in Galleons, really.
yeah.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, the without spoiling too much, I'll say that it is finished roughly, at least instrumentally. Actually, I won't say finished. I'll say like 95% finished in terms of writing.
Mm.
Um, it's not it's not really like Yonder. It's more like a mix probably between Odyssey and a new sort of sound that's yeah, I would say there's like no screaming on the album really at all. Like there's
Mm.
maybe like two songs maybe that
Right.
have screaming. Um,
Was that an intentional choice?
yeah, yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
think because once again the distinction between Galleons and Valiant Hearts is I think that Valiant Hearts is more of like like a non-screaming band or like it was a nice experiment. It was a nice like thing to try and do and to try and see if I could, do an album where I did screaming and singing in one album myself.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like something that I wanted to do at the time just to see if I could do it and to see what that would sound like. Um,
Right.
but I think in retrospect when I go back and listen to it, and has also been like contentious with me personally, like inside my own head for the last 2 years, has been going, okay, what, instead of just thinking about myself, like, what can I do to kind of make it like a compromise between like what I want to do vocally and what people want to hear. Um,
Right.
but what people want to hear is also what I want to hear as well, because I really think that Valiant Hearts should be, or at least needs to stay as like a how do I put it, like a there's no word for a band that doesn't like have screaming. It's just saying a band that doesn't
Yeah.
scream. I'm trying to think of a
Yeah.
word that doesn't exist. Um, but yeah, like I think I want to make the distinction between Galleons and Valiant Hearts more clear again,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just give people a reason to enjoy both bands on individual levels, rather than
Yeah.
trying to just do rather than trying to blur that line a bit too much.
Right.
Yeah, I think creating more of a distinction is kind of important at this stage, um,
Yeah.
because I want to give people more variety. I think that's always a
Yeah.
good thing. And if I'm just
I, I
writing,
always felt
mm,
I always felt Valiant Hearts was at least vocally uh, tended to be a bit more experimental compared to for you compared to what Galleons was doing, especially on the
that's
Yonder with
probably
like
just Yonder, I'd say, yeah, because like Yonder
just Yonder.
was, yeah, like Odyssey is really a lot more like self-titled for Galleons, or, um, yeah, I think everything before Yonder is very, it's a lot more like, how do I put it? I wasn't trying to experiment with anything really.
Mm.
Like I was just singing,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
think there's a purity sort of in that where
Yeah.
I was just singing the first. I was just trying to simply write good melodies and good lyrics and good. I was just trying to write a cohesive album. But
Mm.
with Yonder, I was kind of like, okay, I've done that now. I've done that sort of writing style. Let me try something new. Let me try to do
Right.
like these things that like that I've always been inspired by, like Linkin Park and um, a bunch of other sort of vocal styles and techniques that I've always wanted to try but haven't really had an album to do it on yet. Um, and in retrospect, like I listen back to it and I'm like, oh, maybe Valiant Hearts wasn't the band to do that for. I could have done that with Galleons, and I think
Mm.
that Galleons is a lot more experimental instrumentally on quite a few
Yeah.
levels, especially going forward
Yeah.
with what we're already working on for the next album, which I won't talk about just yet. I'll stay on Valiant Hearts for now. Um,
Yeah.
but I think Galleons is a much more I think it's a lot easier to digest vocal and instrumental experimentation for a band that, you know, started as like a math rock, mathcore sort of band that was already known for being sort of weird and doing things that were, you know, trying to do things that were outside the box. Whereas Valiant Hearts is kind of like a more, I wouldn't say like an inside the box band. We try to do things that are interesting still. But, you know, we have a thing and we like tried to stick to it. Whereas with Galleons, we really tried to, I don't know, just like fuck around and find out, right? So with Galleons, it doesn't really matter for us because we know that if something doesn't work, that I guess we can just continue on and we have a bunch more ideas. But with Valiant Hearts, you know, it was always really like a consistent thing, album by album, until it kind of got to Yonder. And then Yonder kind of like took a bit of a left turn on some levels. And I think that threw a few people, which is fine. You know, like even if we experiment and it doesn't land for everyone, that's okay because the next thing that I do, I can look back on that, take that feedback, and kind of reassess what the next thing should be, right? Which I think is important, and I think bands should,
of course,
you know, be open to taking that criticism and feedback that they get for things that people, I don't know, like you should always do what you want to do as a musician, but at the same time, it's important to acknowledge how people feel about your music. Like you can't just say, no, fuck what everyone else thinks. I'm just going to do my own thing. Because if you're doing your own thing and people aren't vibing with it, it does matter what they think, right? It matters what people think to a degree. Because not only does it affects your relationship with your fan base and with the people that listen to your music on like a, you know, like if you're just telling or thinking that everyone needs to fuck off all the time and that you're always right and you're, you know, how you think about your music is always the right thing. I feel like it creates not just tension, but a sort of like hostility between you and the people that listen to your music because, like, what's the, you know, they're like, I feel like it just makes it harder to write music and creates more stress around releasing it. So I think it's easier and less stressful to just take that feedback and just assess it as you go and try to address those things that people didn't like, that they did like, and try to build off that and actually create something that's constructive rather than just being like, no, like you're all wrong. I know what my music should be, regardless of what anyone else says. So I think it's healthy, at least, to take that feedback, and that's what I've done with Yonder as well, or tried to do. And that's what, like with Igor, I've been like saying that, you know, we need to kind of like scale back the, you know, maybe like a bit of like the anime inspiration, or like I want it to be a bit more like back to like the post-hardcore sort of feel, without like a bit less of the chaotic stuff, a bit less of like the kitschy anime feel of some songs. I just want to write like emotionally charged music, if that makes sense. Like I want to try and sand off a bit of like the not that I don't like what's it called, like, you know, people, the sort of music that people would call like anime openings, and like a lot of our stuff in Valiant Hearts has been called that, but, you know, I want to write music that actually resonates emotionally first and foremost, before being just like energetic or like, I wanted to really focus in on, or try to at least, like it's hard because you never know if it's going to land or not, but you got to just do it as much as you can to try and achieve it. But yeah, it's difficult because like as you write more music, you kind of get stuck in these habits of writing certain ways, and you learn new things and you pick up new things as you go, and you essentially start including them and weaving them into your musical vocabulary. And sometimes it's hard to like split things off from that vocabulary again and just focus on a certain narrow sort of sound. So yeah, like what I told Igor was just that I want to like, I don't know, I wanted to kind of sand off a few sounds that we had on Yonder and like scale back like maybe the tempo of some things, make some things a little bit slower, little more easier to digest, and then like hone in on that like emotional kind of post-hardcore sound, I guess, which I think is kind of what Valiant Hearts started with. Like we didn't start with like being inspired by a lot of Japanese style bands, which is what Yonder was like inspired by, right? So we kind of want to like go like maybe like 20% what Yonder had in some areas. I don't know, 50% what Odyssey had, and then like a bunch of new ideas as well, just to keep things fresh and to keep it interested. Keep it interesting for us as well as listeners. But yeah, it's hard to do. But all I can say is that I think after these 2 years, or almost 3 years now, maybe. Yeah, I think we're happy with what songs we've got at the moment, and the songs that we still have yet to finish. I think there's only 2 songs that don't have vocals yet, and I think Igor might be writing one or two last songs that we'll pick between.
Right.
But yeah, dude, it's tough. Like, it's not just the feedback from Yonder that kind of made me take a step back and be like, okay, like, there are some people that really love this album, and then there's some people that really don't like this album. And that's okay, because that's how it always goes. But with Yonder, it was I felt that division a lot more than I did with like Odyssey. So it made me take a step back and go like, okay, I got that like experimentation out of my system, right?
Yeah.
So what, take off the blinders, or take off the what do I want to do most glasses, and look at it holistically and go like, okay, what's going to make everyone happy? What is the best path forward from this album to kind of, not that I want to make everyone happy. I want to, like I said, write what we are proud of first and foremost, but at the same time, I have an understanding of what people expect now after Yonder. So yeah. But in saying all that, I think one thing that I'm not sure if I should talk about at this point, but I think is, I won't say anything for sure. But I'll be going to Trenton Woodley's house in like October, early October, to work on some stuff. Because ever since the stuff with Hands Like Houses happened, we kind of like connected after a fucking email fiasco where I was sending him emails and he was getting them, but he wasn't able to reply to me because my email was fucked up. So for the longest time, he was like trying to get back to me, and he couldn't. And then he eventually just had to hit me up on Instagram and be like, "Dude, I've been emailing you. Why aren't you replying to me?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm so sorry. Like like that email, like, I don't know, it just doesn't work." So yeah, we connected pretty quickly from there, and we've been talking for the last few months, sharing stuff back and forth. So yeah, we're gonna go hang out and just work on stuff. I'm not saying anything's gonna happen. We're just really just hanging out at that point, and we're just fucking just
see what happens.
Just seeing what happens. If anything does happen, great. If it's for Valiant Hearts, great. But yeah, it's kind of like a surreal sort of like full circle moment for me. Because like that, Hands Like Houses is kind of what got me started wanting to make music, really. Like that band, as well as like Alexis on Fire, and I didn't actually find DGD and like Amorosa until like after both of those. So I think I have to give it to them first and foremost. But yeah, dude, like I did not expect to be like, for one, like talking to him at this point, like at all, like because I never really, I don't know, for one, expected it, but to be then like going over and just like hanging out with him and like seeing what we can make, or like whatever. It's just nice to. I don't know how to put it, but it's just a nice a nice turn of events, I guess, because like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially for people that like Valiant Hearts. If
Yeah.
we find something that works, that would be really cool. For if we don't, it is what it is, and maybe eventually we will. But something might work out. Something, yeah. I don't really know what's gonna happen yet, but um, it'll be interesting to see for sure, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really.
So
I sent you the song. So what did you think? What did you?
I mean, I like them. I listened to them once. I listened to some, and then there was a few songs that just have the instrumentals.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean they're just demos, so like there's nothing there
Yeah.
that's really gonna blow your mind at this stage because a lot of the magic
of course.
does come in through production and through mixing.
Yeah.
Because right now everything just sounds like a noisy kind of mess, but it's clear enough to kind of hear what you can kind of imagine.
Yeah, so you could throw an EQ on there and it makes it a tiny bit better.
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
I think like how would you, if you had to try and explain, I guess the approach or the sound of it, or maybe that's too vague, or like the
that's kind of tough.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough.
What's the best way to ask this question? Because I don't think it's fair yet to ask like how would you compare it to anything else we've done, because obviously it's not mixed.
No,
it's not finished.
It's not finished. Yeah. And it's even like you said, even before like all the production touches, it can be kind of difficult to get but not a vibe.
Yeah, a vibe, yeah. Even that it's hard because like you don't know the track list yet. You don't know like
exactly.
You don't know how it's all going to be laid out or what because the vibe can also change a lot in production. But I guess what I'm mostly trying to get at or trying to ask is like I don't even know how to ask that question.
Yeah.
What's the best way to put it? Maybe like I got no idea. I got no idea how to ask this question without spoiling basically the entire album.
Without spoiling the entire album. How about can you touch on thematically what like is there a specific theme that you're going for with?
Oh yeah. So obviously the first 3 Valiant Hearts records all like shared a similar theme where they were all like they're not concept albums, and I think people like from time to time I see people call them concept albums. They're not concept albums. They're just 3 albums that share the same theme. They're just like a through line for a singular theme, which is like at the time I think I said it was like a musical journey, or it was like my journey, or lyrically a journey into like figuring out myself as a musician or whatever, or just trying to. It was just like a metaphorical journey of like self-exploration, whatever you want to call it. So that was like the theme that followed those 3 albums, and I was like, okay, those 3 albums are their own thing. They're all complete now. So I think going from here, I don't think it's gonna like continue in that same sort of like 3 album structure. I think I just want to do like focus on like standalone albums that have their own idea and have their own like concept behind them. Not a concept album, but their own, their own identity, and they can stand alone, similar to how the Galleons albums do, where they have their own standalone identity from album to album without having to really like. I mean, it's cool to connect all your albums, sure. Like the Deer Hunter does it, or maybe not all their albums, but they had like fucking 4 albums that were like their own story. Thrice did it with like the Alchemy Index and stuff like that. It's cool and it's fascinating to want to connect all your things narratively and do that, but man, it's like it's not easy, and if you can't pull it off well, just like you might as well not do it, because it just feels like an afterthought.
I feel like You can fall apart pretty quick.
Yeah. So I just want to focus on doing singular albums or singular narratives or ideas for albums from here on out. And this album is like really, I think I've already said the album name at one point. It's called Hidden Realms. And the concept for it was basically taking, it was kind of the how do I put it? The impetus or the original concept for why it is called that was because I wanted to explore all these different. It's once again a theme of exploration, but in a different way, I suppose. Like I think Valiant Hearts a lot of the time, for me, comes back to that theme of exploration, which is kind of always what it's about, but in different ways. So this time it was meant to be like an exploration of, like more of a sonic exploration where it was meant to be like trying a bunch of different sounds on the album, and then each of those being like a different world that album was set in, or like a different like alternate. I don't know. I hadn't yet figured it out at that point, but now it's kind of like shifted over time as well, and it's taken on a bit of a new meaning now that we've like gone back and rewritten a bunch of things, and I've helped rewrite songs even instrumentally, and it's kind of like shifted and changed in that time. So now it's kind of just taken on this thing of being, it's more like a theme or a metaphor now for like this shifting world, or this shifting like realm, or whatever you want to call it, you know, that exists within this narrative of this album, where it's going to take me a little while to kind of like verbalize it in my own way, because I still have to think about. I haven't had to verbalize it yet. I just know it more from like a feeling, or more from like a. It's not really. I never do things with a clear narrative. It's more just like a. It's more just like a feeling, and I think that's a lot of the time not more important than an actual narrative, but I think it can be as important or as impactful.
Right.
So like Hidden Realms is more like a reference to each of these songs on the album being as if you're stepping through to a almost like a different narrative per song. So every song is kind of like still joined by that thread, that it's like the same person or the same character taking the journey, but they're going through all these different worlds or places and having different experiences per song, like based on different like what would you say, like different genres or types of writing, like there's a bunch of like alchemy like references and stuff in there, a bunch of like stuff that's like drawn from all different types of literature, and stuff that's drawn from like I always do, TV shows or anime or whatever. But yeah, I still need to kind of like rewrite lyrics on a bunch of songs, and that's like the last touches. That's like the last 5%. So we're in the home stretch, but the last 5% is kind of like rewriting a bunch of lyrics, finishing those last 2 to 3 songs vocally, and then it's kind of like time to start actually mixing the thing, or recording. So yeah, I think it's almost there. I think the reason it's taken so long is it's my fault that it's taken that long. Like it's mostly been an internal struggle, but it's also been a financial struggle, because we obviously had Violent Delights, and we did Violent Delights right after Yonder, and both of those I did vinyl for both of those, they were both 2 LPs, which are really fucking expensive to make.
Yeah.
And I did not really, not that I didn't budget for it, but I didn't expect there's a bunch of hidden costs and a bunch of additional costs for like packaging and shipping and stuff that it just wasn't taken into account very well on my part when I planned all that. So financially, I've been taking a little while to recover from doing 2 back-to-back 2 LPs with Violent Delights and Yonder. So while I would have liked to have moved quicker with like more new Valiant Hearts stuff, it just it's been a mostly a mental battle because I've been trying to figure out what we want out of this album and like what we want to do sonically and what we want to do, like what songs should stay, what songs should go, what songs should be rewritten, what songs we need to add to the album, like just what it's missing. And I feel like that's been a huge mental battle for the last 2 years. And I think we figured it out now. I think with this last song being written, I think it's all kind of like slowly just pieced itself together. And we've been able to kind of like move parts around and make sure they all click together pretty well. But yeah, hopefully next year I'll be back to being okay financially again and we can get this EP done. And then I can start doing the Valiant Hearts album. So yeah, that's probably, I'm trying to think of what else I can say about it, but I think that's probably it. Maybe.
Is that gonna be coming out in 2025, like for sure?
I have no idea at this point, honestly. Like, we'll have to see when the EP comes out first. The EP, the EP is probably gonna have like 4 singles, maybe 3 or 4 singles, and then that'll drop. And then I'll have to see, like what sort of time is left in the year, as well as what sort of like how much that EP kind of like chews into my finances, and whether that pushes things back again, and what it all hinges right now on that EP, which I will say has Valiant Hearts stuff in it, so it's not just a Galleons EP. So there will be Valiant Hearts stuff and Galleon stuff in that EP. And that was pretty much just to tide people over until, the next Galleon stuff or the next Valiant Hearts stuff. Because like I said, it's songs that we might have just scrapped altogether. So we'd rather people hear those things in the meantime while we finish the bigger stuff, than, just be silent for like a year. Yeah.
And I think that's the first time you confirmed that it's going to include Valiant Hearts stuff. So that's going to
I think so. But I think
people excited.
Yeah, I think that's better for people to know than keep it a secret, because then they're going to be like, well, there's going to be no more Valiant Hearts stuff for like another year then. And I'm like, no, it's going to be coming sooner than you think. It's just not the album yet. So but it's also stuff that I will say that it's probably not a sound from Valiant Hearts that you're really expecting either, and that's why the songs were basically cut. That's why the songs were basically made B-sides, because we didn't feel like they were we didn't feel like they were a strong representation of where the band was headed or where we are now and what we've been writing, and they didn't gel with this album that we're now finishing. So they're not really like Yonder, but they're also not really like Odyssey, or they're not really like the new stuff either. So they just didn't have a place.
Right.
It was just hard. Right. It was just hard to figure out how to release them. So that's when we talked about the EP playing together, and we were like, well, Galleons has quite a few songs that have finished demos that we could realistically put out if we got them mixed. And we cut a bunch of songs from the new Valiant Hearts record, like in the early stages, that didn't vibe with the rest of the album. So fuck it, let's get a different engineer that's a bit cheaper to mix this EP as sort of like a B-side EP, and just release those songs. So at least they exist. They might not be as like hyper polished as our usual stuff, but at least they're gonna like sound still nice, and they'll at least be released. So it's something. That's pretty much just to keep people kind of coming along with us as we're still finishing stuff.
I have some questions from Twitter if you want to go through some of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Trav Swag wants to know when Galleons is gonna be releasing more merch.
When I have more money. I'm like, yeah, I like almost went broke in the last few months because I was moving houses, as you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and we had all this stuff happen with Sergey as well, or Sergio. I'm trying to call him Sergio now because that's the name that he's chosen for himself, but it's
yeah,
hard because I've called him Sergey for the last like 10 years.
yeah,
So, but I'm really trying to respect what he wants to be called. So, um,
yeah,
yeah, all the stuff with Sergio happened at the same time as when I was moving houses. So it's why we had to do the
yeah.
fundraiser. It's why we had to do the because I would have
Right,
helped him out of my
of
own
course.
pocket otherwise.
Yeah,
But I literally had like $500 in my bank
yeah,
account, like after moving houses, and that was like
yeah,
terrifying for me, because
yeah,
like my rent, I split rent, but like still like $350 of that $500 would have had to go to
yeah.
rent the next week, and then I
Right.
would have been almost broke. But luckily I had like royalties coming in, and
Yeah,
but they take a little while, so I was kind of like worried
yeah,
about when we'd get them, and whether
yeah,
I would go broke in the meantime or I'd need to get a loan. Um, so
yeah,
merch is like the last thing on my mind at all times,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Of
fair
course,
enough.
the first thing is the well-being of the guys,
Of
and I felt
course.
really bad that I couldn't personally help Sergio because like I couldn't do anything. Like
Yeah,
I couldn't even help myself. I could
yeah,
barely afford groceries that month.
yeah.
So yeah, we had to ask for help that way, and I once again I said this on another podcast, but I can't thank everyone enough for how much they helped him. Like they literally saved his life. Like he was homeless, and yeah, I don't know what else could have happened to him, but that it was lucky
Yeah,
that everyone came together as quickly as they did. Because that I don't know what, I don't want to think about what else would have happened if, um, yeah, if that didn't happen as quickly as it did. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, dude, merch just costs so much, and even in the future, I'm
yeah.
considering just because we're likely like Valiant Hearts is an independent band, right? Like I said, I pay for
Mm,
everything except for the marketing costs. Like that comes from our label.
yeah,
I pay for
yeah,
everything else myself. Everything
yeah,
else for the bands comes out of my pocket, and Sergio has helped pay for some stuff as well. Like he helped pay for part of the mixing on Violent Delights, that
yeah.
he'll get back over time as well. Um,
Of course.
but everything pretty much comes from us. We pay for everything
Mm,
ourselves, or at least try to, because we don't really
yeah,
like we. I personally like having to recoup as little costs or as little debt as possible
of
from
course,
the
of
label.
course.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, unfortunately, because of that, my focus is, like I said, first of all, the guys, making sure that they're getting paid, that they're
hmm,
okay. And
hmm,
then secondly, of course, is like mixing and mastering, so actually like making the music.
yeah,
And then merch is like the last thing that I really think about.
right.
It's great to have. It's great to be able to make
Yeah,
merch and see people wearing it, and
yeah,
make more vinyl and make more CDs. But at the end of the day, it's a supplementary thing to our music and the band as a
yeah,
whole, and it's
yeah.
not as important to us as actually putting out new music and
Of
making
course,
sure that the guys have money to eat and sleep and pay
of
rent.
course.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so yeah, it's just gonna happen when it happens. Unfortunately, like I don't know when it's gonna be. I don't
yeah,
know what the merch is gonna be. Um,
yeah.
and I've even had thoughts about just not doing not doing vinyl at all going forward, because
Ooh,
it's become no, I know it's like a controversial thing for bands to do nowadays, but dude, it's become so expensive, and
yeah.
it's become expected of every major release band to do it now. And I
It's
feel
true.
like that is so fucking unfair that like every major release a band has, and it's not on the fans at all. It's just on more like industry pressure, right? That every
Yeah,
band has to have fucking vinyl now, otherwise it's not a proper release.
it popped off again. That's the thing.
I know,
Like
but it's
some bands
so yeah.
don't even press CDs sometimes.
Well,
They
that's
just
that's
only
the
have the
thing. I
vinyl and
press more
stuff.
CDs now than I do vinyl again now, because vinyl has
Yeah,
become so fucking expensive to do. To like, I'll put it
yeah,
this way: in Australia, we do our vinyl in New Zealand. Um,
yeah.
And they're fucking terrific. I love the vinyl place we work with. They kill it every single time. I would always work with them if I could, but it's getting so fucking expensive with like import taxes and with how much it costs to buy packaging for the vinyl. That's why the fucking shipping gets so expensive, especially from Australia.
Yeah.
It's because not only do I have to pay whatever the post office is asking me to pay to ship to America or Canada or whatever, which is like fucking $50. I also have to factor in, the costs for buying packaging like vinyl boxes, bubble wrap, padding, anything else, tape, fragile stickers, like anything else goes into that margin for. And sorry, I know talking finances is not the fucking most interesting thing in the world, but it all factors into how much it costs to ship vinyl, especially for an independent band that, it all comes out of our pocket, which is fine because it all goes back into our pocket as well. But that's saying if we make any financial mistakes and we miss things or we miscalculate whatever, that hurts. That really does hurt. So doing vinyl now, to do one run of 150 copies of a 2 LP vinyl for Violent Delights, it was roughly like $10,000 Australian.
It's absurd.
And that doesn't even factor in. Doesn't even include the shipping. That doesn't include the import fees. And that's all fine. That's all factored into how much we charge for the vinyl, right? But it's just so much money. It's so much, and it's only 150 copies. 150. It's not 1,000. Yeah, it's not 500.
Yeah.
It's $10,000 for 150 vinyl copies. And that's such a small amount for how big, people's fan bases get. And yes, there are some vinyl places that manufacture it at a lower quantity and at a lower cost. Like we worked with one in the Czech Republic, I think, for self-titled. And I think that was, but that was only one LP. That was only a one record, like sleeve. Yeah. And I think that was roughly around like 5,000 Australian, if I'm right. But still, 5,000 Australian for, I think it was 250 copies. I think, but the thing is that the lower you go in cost, the less, the more you're kind of like walking on a tightrope around the actual quality of the vinyl itself and the quality of the makesmanship. And the customer service and how it all goes. And we had a fucking headache and a half getting that self-titled vinyl done because they misprinted the vinyl and then we had to pay for the misprints and then we had to pay for them to do the actual prints of the vinyl that we actually ordered in the first place because they were like, they were just going to throw out the misprints. Just like just destroy them. Like not give them to us. They were just going to destroy them. And we were like, why the fuck are you destroying them? Just give them to us. Like you made a mistake. Just give them to us as free copies. You don't need to make the jackets. You don't need to fucking do anything. Just give us the ones you fucked up, and we'll take them because that was your fault. And then you still need to print the right ones. And they were like, no. You need to pay us for the misprints. And we're like, okay, what? Like, we'll pay you, but we're not going to pay full price. And they tried to get like the full price of the actual cost of the vinyl out of us, and we're like, no. We're not paying full price for them. You fucked it up. This is your fault. We will buy them off your hands because you're just gonna fucking destroy them. You're just gonna throw them into an incinerator anyway. Yeah. If they're worth nothing to you, what is the issue with just giving them away to us? Like.
Yeah.
They're worth nothing to them anyway. They're not gonna do anything with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So would you rather burn them, or would you rather them actually be used? They just want to burn them. They don't give a fuck. They'll just burn them.
Yeah.
But it was such a headache, and that was working with a lower priced vinyl place. So working with a higher priced vinyl place, we get great customer service. I have a great relationship with the people that work there, but it's fucking expensive, and it is the biggest hindrance for me. With starting an album rollout, with starting because now what's expected of us when we do an album rollout is vinyl, merch, all that stuff. And that's fine, but it slows down everything because we have to wait until we have that budget to put that all together. And that is okay, but like we're a band, like I said, we just want to get the music out.
Right.
And I think every band's
Right.
the same, right? They just want to get the music
Yeah.
out, but you know, it is merch a lot of the time that slows down the process for us. So I'm trying to find ways that we can still do merch, but maybe not like have it always need to be linked to a release. So that way we can put out music independently to merch. So that way you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're not just getting, you know, you don't just get merch whenever music comes out. We can do like music sometimes and then merch another time. And I think that's more like a better mix. And then vinyl, we'll have to see. Like, I'm not too keen on it anymore. I know it's a big thing. I know it's really big in the US and Canada and some parts of Australia. But like, it's just extremely prohibitive, especially for independent artists. So I feel like there needs to be like a I don't know. I would like it if there was room for like a middle sort of ground where people don't have to do vinyl and they can still have. And I know they can. There's no one telling them that they need to have fucking vinyl, right?
Yeah.
But there is definitely a thing where all the labels like, you know, that have bigger bands like Universal, Sony, that have all these like that have rock bands and metal bands, they produce vinyl in like the tens of thousands, right?
Oh yeah.
And
mass
a lot of the
production.
time that is what puts up the cost of vinyl, because it makes it so that their supply chain gets depleted by all these major labels that just buy up all the plant's time and resources so that they can just keep putting up prices, because there's, you know, it's just supply and demand. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But it makes it so much harder for smaller bands to do anything, which is a big issue. And you know, bands like us, we do still get by, and we still do vinyl, and that's cool. But it really, really, it's a tough expectation, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you keep going with the Twitter questions. I'll try to keep answers short because we've already been going for 2 hours, and I know it's getting late for you.
Yeah, no worries, man. Xavier was asking. He says, I feel like your lyrics can be interpreted in many ways. Do you have a straightforward meaning for them, or do you like the fact it can be that way?
I think like some of my simpler lyrics are pretty straightforward. Like DeLorean has like pretty straightforward lyrics. They're not there's nothing cryptic there. Some of my songs are like intentionally written to be vague, whether on purpose or just by, I don't know, just by chance. Like that sometimes it's just how I write. I think I've said this many times, but my writing style for lyrics is very like stream of consciousness sort of feeling, where I just write as it comes to mind while I'm recording demos, and then I'll go back after I've finished a demo and I'll tighten things up or rewrite lines that I don't like or whatever. But usually, like, if a song comes out that's just like vague poetry or whatever, that's cool. Like, I'll take a David Lynch approach to it, and I'll be like, I'm not going to answer what that song's about. I'm not going to explain it. Just however it makes you feel, that's what's important. Because I think that's like one of my favorite fucking approaches to making art of like any person on this earth is David Lynch, where, you know, like he creates something, and I'm gonna start rambling. I know I'm gonna start rambling again, so I'm gonna try and keep this very short. But he makes movies and he makes art with the intention of evoking feeling first and foremost, rather than trying to bring you to a conclusion or trying to bring you to an answer. Well, I think what's important to him is creating that connection with the art itself, and that you see it as something that makes you feel something. Same with his movies, that you watch them and you feel something like visceral, whether it's horror or like sadness, or he's so fucking good at just making you feel things. Whether it's mostly confusion, like David Lynch is very good at making you confused. But I think that's a really fucking good lesson to learn for any artist, that you should first and foremost be trying to make people feel things rather than to try and lecture people or lead them to a conclusion of what your thing is about. Because I feel like a lot of people can get lost in that, or you can kind of pigeonhole people into one narrow way of thinking about your art or whatever, and that can lead to a lesser experience possibly because of it, because people can only think one way about the thing that you've made. So I like to approach,
tell them.
Yeah.
Don't like tell them how they should be feeling.
Exactly. Sometimes I think it's okay to, if it's like a more personal experience or like a more personal song, and
Right.
it's your personal emotions about a subject or a situation that happened to you, and you're writing that into a first person narrative perspective into a song, and
Right.
you're trying to evoke a very specific narrow sort of emotion like sadness or depression or whatever, that's completely fine. But I don't think every song needs to lead to one emotion in particular, or one answer in particular,
Yeah.
or one interpretation in particular. So I
Yeah.
kind of like trying to keep things vague and open-ended while still trying to make you feel something, if that makes sense. Like,
of course.
Yeah, I don't like writing with. I never start a song with a particular, um, with a particular story or answer of any, I don't know. I just don't start making any form of art with a conclusion in mind, I guess. Like, I really like just starting something and seeing where it takes me, and seeing what emotion comes out of that as I get to the end of working on something. And then if I don't like where it's getting to or what I'm feeling from it, I'll go back and I'll change it and I'll rewrite it and I'll try other things. But yeah, no, don't unless I think my lyrics are telling you very specifically that I'm trying to tell you about something, or that it's a very straightforward song lyrically. I don't think you really have to worry about trying to find meaning from the lyrics that I write. Yeah, and some people might call that lazy, and I don't really care. But
fair enough.
It's just everyone has a different approach to it. Like I don't like sitting down and agonizing over lyrics, and then just letting the lyrics dictate how I sing the song. I like the song. I like listening to the song, singing through the song, and making up lyrics as I go, and then going back and making those lyrics, and kind of like it's kind of like pottery or clay work in a way, where you have like a blob of clay, and as you work on it, it slowly comes into focus. It slowly becomes something. That's more of my approach, rather than like sitting down and like, I don't know, like constructing something from like an architect or like a blueprint drawing. I don't sit down and I don't overanalyze all my words before I start something. I think that for me it hurts my process. I find that it's worse for me when I sit down and try to write something in completion before I start a song, because it forces me into one way of thinking, and it removes the possibility for like a lot of improvisation in the song, as well as a lot of possible emotion that I hadn't yet considered could come out of improvising or working on that song as I go. So yeah, I think that's something that I would say for like any aspiring musician as well. Like, don't feel like you need to write a song one certain type of way. That's pretty important. Yeah. Just go with it. If nothing else, just go with it and see where it takes you.
Yeah. All right. I think I'll take one more Twitter question here. Devin wants to know what the most challenging song was to make on Violent Delights.
Maybe, I don't know, instrumentally. Vocally, I would say it was probably vocally I would say it was Cashmere. Because when I first did the demo for that, the chorus was like, I think it was like a few beats out of sync, and I thought it sounded fine because I just heard the song so much. And then when I got to production, I think it was like a 30-second note out of sync. And there was some, but it was like two different parts of the chorus were completely like out of sync by a 30-second note. And we like fixed one part of it, and it sounded like really wrong to me because I'd always listened to it when it was like slightly out of sync. So I was like, oh no, I don't really like that. It sounds weird to me. And they're like, no, dude, it sounds weird because it was out of sync in the first place. And then I was like, oh, all right, I'm just gonna have to get used to it. And yeah, like they're completely right. Like it was fucked up in the first place, and I just Same thing actually happened with the Downtown Dinosaur Gang Part 3, where all the screaming, that opening screaming part was also like a 30-second note out of sync. And that's just because the drum beat was like so weird in both the how it started was just very like offbeat, I think a little bit.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with the chorus for Kashmir, and we were like going back and forth for like a week or two, just trying to fix the placement of the vocals for Kashmir, and everyone was just getting so fucking sick of that song, and and we were all just like pretty high strung by that point, and we were just like, dude, it's like it's got to be here. And then our engineer was like, we said like, oh, it's got to move like a 30-second note this way, and then you've got to like splice this vocal and just like stretch it back a 30-second note so it makes sense and fills like this gap. And we were just, it was just like a fucking horrible, like I felt so bad for Roman, who was our mix engineer. we were just it was maybe like the most trouble we've had with it wasn't even because of the song itself, it was just because of my fuck up in the first place, where I didn't place the vocals correctly. But like it took everyone, it was like a whole fucking band effort just to fix a 30-second note in a chorus. Like that was it. And that's like, it shouldn't have even been a big deal. But it was just because I had such a specific thing in mind, like such a specific word placement for the chorus in mind, that we had to like go back and forth like at least like 9 or 10 times on just fixing the smallest fucking note, like the smallest timing. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, but I we're obviously going to run into more issues like that down the road. You always do, but it's never fun to get so fixated on like extremely small stuff like that. So probably Kashmir.
For sure.
I would say that took us the longest to, at least in mixing, it took us the longest to finish.
Yeah. That's all the questions I got for you, man.
All right. Sorry for rambling on like every single fucking question.
No worries.
I always find that like I get anxious about like not answering questions well enough, so I like circle back around like 3 or 4 times on the same thing just to make sure I cover all my bases. But no, it's been really nice to talk to you, and I know Em's been lying back there the whole time, so I hope she's doing good.
Hey, she says hi.
Happy birthday.
She says happy birthday.
Thank you. And I saw people like saying they like Kashmir. Kashmir is like one of my favorite songs from the album for sure. I think like that process that it took to fix the chorus was ultimately worth it, but like I don't want to ever go through that again, because that was horrible. Like I don't want to ever put Roman through that again. He was like so over it by the end, I could tell. Like he's so polite, and he tries to keep his like he tries to keep out of the band drama and out of the band like discourse, and like tries not to argue, just goes with whatever we ask him to do. He's the fucking best, right? But like I could, even though he was being so polite, I could tell he was like fucking over it. He was just like being so short. He was like, "Here it is, update. Here it is." And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm gonna try to. I've been so conscious now of like getting like 30-second note beats for syncing up choruses for stems and stuff. It's not. You never want to be that guy that can't sync up their stems properly.
Yeah.
Because that's the sort of problem that it creates. Yeah. But yeah, dude, what time is it for you? It's got to be like what, 12 a.m.
It's 11 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought like because you started at 9, 9 p.m. Yeah. Okay,
well, we were
a little bit after.
We started.
Yeah.
But
no, it's been really nice to talk to you and meet you at least through the internet for
it's been awesome, man. Thanks for hooking all this up.
No worries. I'll have to get you set up with like a little tutorial. I mean, there's plenty of tutorials out there. Like it's really not hard. It's not as much of a headache as I made it seem. It's just because I had a bunch of fucking last minute problems that were just completely unforeseen. Because like my Wi-Fi dropped out at the last minute, and I am on a wired connection, but my Wi-Fi fucks with like all of the other peripherals around me
Right.
for my stream setup, like my lighting, it all goes off the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. So yeah, it's really fucking annoying if like one thing goes wrong right at the last second. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate you being patient. But
No worries, man. Of course.
yeah, I did have a list of things I was gonna grill you about, but I'm gonna let you off.
You gotta
easy.
grill me. You can grill me. You can grill me on one thing if you want.
So I heard that you had to get Audrey to beat Baltius in Armored Core 6 for you. Is that true?
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah. So
How long did you spend on that before Audrey beat it?
To be fair, I didn't. So I was on the mission before.
Oh, that's right. With Sula.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So
Yeah.
I was like, so she came over. I was like, yo, like, can you help me with this guy? Like, I don't know what to do. And like, I wasn't like familiar with like the builds and stuff. So she like hooked me up with like a build similar to hers.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. So I think she beat both for me, if I'm being honest. So she beat.
You know, those
she showed me how to
missions
do it.
the missions are replayable. You know that, right? You still have to beat it.
Man, I don't know. Like,
you can do it.
She did it, and then Baltius was right after, and I'm already flabbergasted.
But
I was
the thing
like,
is,
no way.
The one thing I didn't tell you, or maybe you didn't pick up on it when Audrey was doing it, but you can actually, as soon as you beat Sula, I think you get a checkpoint, and you can actually reload from that checkpoint to get all your health back, and then you can go into Baltius. So, but when you
fair, after she beat it for me. Yeah. I'll be honest. Yeah. But after I got through a few other missions, I got stuck on the spider thing. Again,
yeah, the spider is tough. Yeah.
Okay. I got like so close to the end too. Like the dude was like down to there, and then I died, and I like snapped, and I was like, I need to get off.
But that's the experience, man. That's the experience of these games. If you ever play like Elden Ring or Dark Souls or whatever, I would recommend probably Elden Ring. Elden Ring is probably like the easiest and most like user friendly of like the Souls games. I would say like I think Armored Core and look, Armored Core is really fucking easy once you get like a good build. It can like just clean up everything, like with no trouble. Like two shots you can kill a boss in. And then Sekiro is like the other one that's like really hard to learn, but once you get it, it's like it's just like you see the matrix and like you understand it all. But I think like
I will say though, it's super rewarding.
It is. All the games are like that. All the games are like that.
So fired up.
Yeah. But like Elden Ring, I think is a lot more like beginner friendly. I would say like it gives you a lot more freedom and a lot more time to like. It was kind of unfair for me to like throw you into Armored Core as a first game.
To be fair, I do like it. Like I think. Like I like the whole concept of it, and it looks beautiful to play.
Oh, dude,
stuff like
you've only played like 10% of the game at this point.
I remember.
There's 3 new game cycles to the game, and each one introduces a new part of the story and new missions.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like I remember, I was playing.
Yeah.
And it was just like the tutorial.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how to beat this, and then Audrey's like, "That's just the tutorial."
Yeah. The helicopter.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the helicopter.
Yeah, it's to be fair, that's a pretty fucking tough like skill check right at the start of a game. That's maybe like the toughest like
all I had was the basic controls. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, dude, it's like the toughest filter that I've played in a From Software game like ever in all the games because like in Dark Souls 1 I mean technically if you know what to do, they're all like easy tutorial bosses. In like all the games. Some of them you're meant to die to, right? And a lot of the like the Souls games and stuff, they set you up as you die to this first boss and then you get to continue with the game and then later you can come back and fight it, right? But with Armored Core, even surprised me is that they force you to beat that first tutorial boss.
Yeah, facts.
They're like, you have to beat it to continue with the rest of the game. And that's
like, I've been playing this for 10 minutes, man.
Yeah. Even for me, it was difficult. It took me like a good 30 minutes to kind of like click with the controls and like get my head around the game. And
it's very like fast paced, like
it's
with the
super
booster and
fast-paced.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to get like
yeah.
It's hard to get what do you call it? The intricacy.
Yeah,
of it
it's
down.
because you have omnidirectional
like,
control of everywhere that you go.
Yeah.
Up, down,
Yeah.
left, right, strafe. Like it's.
And when you're like getting surrounded, like when
Yeah.
I was in the well,
Yeah.
you had all those like invisible thingies.
Oh
Whatever.
yeah.
In the coral well or whatever.
Yeah.
That was so difficult because there's like so much going on at once. I didn't know who to attack first.
Yeah, it's
and
tough.
It's
tough. But I would say that I felt bad for throwing you into that game specifically first because its skill.
I'm gonna beat it.
Its skill curve is a lot sharper than all the other games. Like I said, Armored Core and Sekiro, they have the sharpest skill curve. Where like, but once you get over that skill curve, at a certain point, the game just becomes almost too easy. Like when it just clicks, the game just becomes like you just don't even have to try. It just becomes like a muscle memory.
I think the biggest, like, the most difficult thing is when you're like playing a boss and realizing like what you need on your build. Cause, like I don't like when I'm playing the spider thing. I was like, I don't really know what I need except I need just to stay in the air.
Yes.
And that was like all I was doing.
That's how you figure it out.
So I was like, so I was like, I need to like take some stuff off or something, like, you know, so I can stay up there longer. Whatever.
If you fight the spider boss with just the air legs, what are they called? The spider legs, the ones that let you hover, and then you just have a rocket launcher on your shoulders and rocket launchers on your arms. You just stay up there and you just shoot rockets at it the whole time, and it goes down in like less than 30 seconds.
But then it starts flying up.
So you have to.
And then I don't know what to do.
The whole battle with the spider is managing your energy levels and how to stay in the air consistently. You need to be on the floor when it's not attacking, so you can get back in the air when it is, and you need to just stay above it the whole time as much as possible. So like as soon as you get above it, shoot it, and then just go back down, recharge, and go back straight back up, and then just shoot it again. So it's tough. It's tough, and it takes a little bit to get used to it. But
I'm gonna give it a go soon.
There's way harder bosses in this game, dude. I'll say that.
I know.
These are like the easy bosses.
I don't know what to tell you.
No, you're not garbage. You're doing well, but
skill issue.
It's a build issue. That's all it is. It's not even skill because anyone regardless of skill can just like demolish all these bosses with the right build. That's all it is. Even in Dark Souls or Elden Ring or whatever, you have the right build, you have the right like weapon, you have it upgraded to the right thing, you have the right synergy with the right magic build or the right strength weapon with the like a high strength build. Like you can just like kill most things in 1 or 2 hits. Like it all just depends on how easy. Like it all depends on your knowledge of the game and the things that you like know to equip and know how to use, right? So it's all just experience. It's all just playing the game and learning how it operates. But you can do it.
I need to get back into it.
I know you can do it. Baltius is the really. I think Baltius is harder than the spider, honestly, because Baltius has more room to move around. He has a much bigger arena. The spider is it's a smaller arena, so you don't have to chase him as far. And usually in my experience, when I got platinum for the game and I got all the S rank missions, this was before like a bunch of stuff got nerfed as well, so it was easier for me than it will be for you. But once you like find a build that works for like 70% of the missions, it's like GG. Like you don't even need to try in any of the missions anymore. Like you can just demolish most of the bosses in like 20 to 30 seconds. But it's the games are like really, really good if you can just get past the frustration of you were always going to be shit at the start of the game.
Like my
it's
patience
not.
It's like pretty slim.
I know, but these are the games that teach you good patience. Like look at these games as less of a game and more of a patience like simulator. Like it will teach you to.
Sometimes, man,
yeah.
I just wanna.
I know. I've been there. I was there. Because I started with Dark Souls 1, and back then that game was like. Now for me, that's like I can play that game like. I don't know, with one hand tied behind my back. I'm not going to do that because I obviously can't do it. But like I know that game like the back of my hand, and because of that, I don't get frustrated with it. I don't have any patience issues with it. I know how to play it.
Yeah.
And that eventually goes for all the games in that From Software make. But yeah, it takes like your first like 1 or 2 games that just beat the shit out of you and make you feel like a baby that has like that can do nothing and has no skill and everything. But eventually you get over that, and man, it's so rewarding to just like learn like a new level of patience for yourself.
I did beat a few bosses on my own. So,
no, I know.
I was fired up.
I know, but if
a
you
little
can
overconfident.
If you can beat the spider by yourself, I'll forgive you for having Audrey beat Baltius for you.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, you can do it.
I'm
you
gonna
can
get
do it.
past it.
Just you're already halfway there. You already know what legs to use.
Close. I was so close, man.
That's all it is.
In my hands.
But the thing is, all right, before we go, one tip I'll give you about that. That's just more of like a mental thing, is that never look at the health bar. Don't look at the health bar of the boss. Don't look at the health bar of the boss. Focus on what
that's all I'm looking at.
I know, and that's the reason you're getting frustrated with it. Because you're always going to realize how close or how far away you are from actually beating it. Just focus on what the boss is doing and what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
And I guarantee you, most of the time you'll forget that you're even you're even worried about the health or that it's a boss fight. You're just trying to, it's just like a dance. And you're just trying to keep up, and you're just trying to outmaneuver each other, and you're trying to actually...
Right.
It just feels like... it's an easy way to keep from getting frustrated, I feel like. Because, like I said, you're always aware when you're looking at the health bar of how far away or close you are to beating it. And then when you realize that, you're like... That's when you decide you've like had enough, or like you're impatient, or you just want to put the game down.
Sometimes you like look at it, you're not even halfway, and you're like, damn, I'm not even halfway.
Yeah, so don't even look at the bar. Just keep that dance going. Just keep dancing with it, keep shooting it, and just wait. Just try not to die. That's all it is. So that was the best advice that I was ever given.
Soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I would watch these streams and like other people play it, and that came up multiple times. They were just like, don't look at the health bar. The health is not important.
Yeah.
What's important is not getting hit, or staying, or what's important is not getting hit and hitting the boss. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And eventually the health won't even matter to you because eventually it'll be dead anyway. So.
Right. Facts. Yeah. I'll have to give it a go again soon.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. I know you can do it.
Maybe tonight. Maybe I'll go at it right now.
It's pretty late, so I forgive you if you don't want to do that. But I know you can do it. I know you can do it. I was super impatient when I started playing them as well, so I know how it is.
I need to beat it.
Yeah.
I hate having a game that I haven't finished.
I know. Like I said, I have been there. I've been where you are with these games. And the thing is, once you finish one of them, it becomes like crack. Like you need to keep getting that. You need to keep that feeling going. And now I'm kind of numb to it because I've played every single one since like fucking 2010, right? So it's kind of like just normal for me now, and it's kind of like I'm kind of like too too far into it to kind of get that feeling anymore. But that's why they keep making sorry, this is the last thing I'll say, but that's why they keep making them harder with like every release, and why you see the drama coming out about all these games being like, oh, it's the hardest boss they've ever made. It's too hard. And it's because everyone that they keep, everyone that's a fan of the games, and everyone that's keeps up to date with them and plays all of them, they keep getting too good for them. So they keep needing to make harder and harder shit that's more and more unfair, because people are just killing, like, people are going on to, like, fucking New Game Plus 100 with fists only, and a level 1 character, and killing these bosses, and they're like, alright, we need to make the next one really, really hard and really fast, and everything needs to kill you in one hit. So I've been where you are. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for talking and taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here, man.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you do more of these and getting your own stream set up, because that'll be I think it's, I think this is
so.
a good like like kind of getting your feet wet a little bit, you know, like like the setup you have is not too bad. Like it's good enough quality. Your audio's good. It's fine. It's honestly fine.
Yeah.
Like I can hear you clear. I can see you clear enough. It's all you need. So.
Yeah, me and Emily were talking about maybe getting a kickstart in the new year or something.
Yeah, for sure. It's really not. It's really not.
We'll
it's really not tough. And if you need any help with it, just let me know. It's.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like once you get like a starting soon screen and the the your PC like stuff set up on the. That's all you need. It's just like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And then you just hit go live and you're done. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about.
All right, man. Well, I won't keep you too long.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I've enjoyed it a lot. Really, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Thanks for having me on here too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll stay in touch, obviously, and we'll keep talking about stuff.
We'll chat on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll keep giving you shit on Twitter for just stuff that you don't even deserve.
Oh yeah, I know.
But yeah, I'll let you go. Yeah, it's good to see you both, and yeah, I hope you have a good night, dude.
All right, have a good day, man. Enjoy your birthday.
All good, thank you, and thank you guys for all being here. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming for the stream and coming for this. Like I said, I will give Blake the VOD or whatever like recording of this I have, so he can do with that whatever he wants, and it'll be. I'm not sure how long VODs stay on Twitch for. I think it should be like 30 days or whatever, but I will give Blake a file of that he can keep for as long as he wants. So. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I might start streaming again kind of regularly. I don't know doing what, but hopefully my fucking chat works next time because everything's been broken. But yeah, thank you guys again for all being here. Unfortunately, I didn't get to interact with the chat or answer many things because it's been, like I said, it's been fucked. But yeah, thank you for talking. Thank you for giving Blake questions. And yeah, thank you for listening to our music. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.